Thank you so much for joining us. A very warm good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, with what has just happened in Paris, is the world safe?
This is shocking. It's a powerful message to the rest of the world that no corner today is safe from terrorism. Even very powerful countries like France are also vulnerable. We saw that earlier this year when they attacked the Charlie Hebdo satirical news house. I think this is very clear that no one should be sleeping. The whole world needs to stand up against terrorism.
Now, according to security studies, is there a formula that could be used to curb these attacks? You also mentioned Charlie Hebdo being, the past terrorist attacks also seen in Paris. Is there a formula whatsoever?
I think this attacks or this phenomenon has its own causes, its own root causes that we need to address. We are still looking into what exactly caused the French attacks or what were the reasons behind the attacks. But I think if you look at terrorism in general, these are people with grievances. These are people who are fighting for a cause. I'm not saying that we should support this kind of cause, but I think we need to address the fundamental problems, particularly the radicalization which lies behind this kind of attacks. From what we hear so far, there is some connection with the Islamic State, which again speaks volumes of the kind of radicalization that we have of young people who are joining the Islamic State en masse. Particularly, we've seen many Europeans in the past couple of years joining the Islamic State in Syria. This, again, is a measurement to give you an indication of the extent to the radicalization of young people in Europe, which means that Europe is very, very fragile.
But Martin, with the attacks that we've also witnessed, the world had witnessed just a few months ago with Charlie Hebdo, one would think Paris was in their toes in terms of security and they were vigilant. What happened?
Well, the terrorists caught France at the most vulnerable moment. There were activities at the Catalan theater. And then there was also a very big football game, a friendly match between France and Germany. So the whole France was taken. This is a football country. This is a country that loves football. An event like this, particularly a match between Germany and France, is a match that everyone wants to see. So I'm sure that even those who were not part of the 80,000 people at the Stade de France in Paris were actually watching the games at other spots, either at home or other organized public sport where they were viewing the games. So again, everyone was really focused. It wasn't the best moment that people would think of an attack from a terrorist group because football is a game that unites everyone. And even if you look at the theater, again, people were just trying to make the best out of their life in Paris. And that's the moment that the terrorists attack. So a very bad moment, very bad vulnerable site where, you don't expect them to strike in this kind of site. But exactly that's where they want to do it because these are the easiest site for them to strike.
Now, of course, the France President, François Hollande, also mentioned that he'll be closing France's borders, of course, in dealing with the attacks and helping to capture those who are responsible behind these attacks. Do you think closing the borders of France will help in any way to deal with these attacks and to also bring those responsible to book?
I think the measures taken by France are quite in line with the emergency kind of measure that every country would take faced with such a magnitude of an attack. Again, they've not just closed the borders, they've actually declared a state of emergency in the whole of France because this is to really give security forces or agencies the extra powers, to really pursue whosoever was behind these attacks. So the closing of the borders is only part of that emergency and to really enclose France so that whoever did the attack should be within the country and then the security agencies should be able to root these kind of people out of wherever they are hiding now in France. Because opening the borders will mean that these people can escape. Remember, Europe France is part of the European Schengen, which means that if these people have Schengen visa or they have French passport or they have European passport, they can go to any country at will. So, but closing the borders will mean that they cannot travel out of France. And I think it is a good measure taken by the French government.
Martin, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, there was Martin Ewi, senior researcher on transnational threat and international crime division at the Institute of Security Studies, giving his opinion there regarding the recent terrorist attacks, witnessed in Paris.